Hello and welcome to a new vlog and video in cooperation with ReiseJung. We're taking a look at day 4 on the Seine on board of the Monarch Countess. Today we are in Rouen and in the morning we are starting an excursion to 2 abbeys, and in the afternoon we're going to take a look at Rouen itself, and then in the evening we're continuing on to the city of Vernon. We are starting today docked in second row next to the Amas of Amas waterways, and we're now heading to our bus, and with this bus we will now go to the 2 abbeys. This is probably our most cultural excursion on this cruise. We are starting in Rouen, but we will not see too much of the city, but we'll see it later on in the video, of course. We're now following the river Seine, shortening one bend of the river Seine, and then we're reaching Boscherville with this beautiful abbey. Here we can see the abbey church of Saint-Georges. This abbey also comes with a very beautiful garden. It's a very beautiful church. Of course we're gonna see it from the inside later on as well. It's a very beautiful building, I can already tell you now. But also the gardens are extremely beautiful, worth seeing, quite interesting. There's a lot to see, so first we spend a bit of time in the gardens, exploring them. Of course we had our local guides with us. The local guides were always German speaking for our German speaking guests. Here we can see some impressions. So from the garden we can see the beautiful church, and soon we will also head inside, because obviously also the building itself from the inside is very beautiful. Here you can see it. I would rather think it's a church somewhere at the Mediterranean Sea with this white stones. Very beautiful, very impressive, absolutely worth seeing. Yeah, and after enjoying the view and exploring the building for a bit, we then headed back to our bus. First, let's take another look at the exterior of the church, also very beautiful. And with the bus we are now heading to the next abbey in Jumièges. That's one bend of the Seine further, so we're following the river again. You can see the rocks. Some buildings here are built into the rocks. That's also very interesting. And then we are reaching Jumièges, and there we have the Abbey of Jumièges. This is one of the most famous tourist sites in northern France. It is a ruin, but a very impressive one, as you can see here. It's a very impressive building. It was a huge church and it was one of the biggest abbeys in France. The church was 25 meters high and towers were 45 meters high. So it is one of the most impressive ruins I've ever seen. Never seen something like this. A ruin where all the walls are still standing. That was very beautiful. And also, of course, this building has a very interesting history. So we listened to the history, took some nice pictures of it. Then we wanted to have coffee and a croissant, just like on the other days, but unfortunately all restaurants were still closed. That's the downside of doing excursions rather early in the morning. I think most of the tourists are coming in the afternoon, but the restaurants were still closed or just about to open, and unfortunately they didn't make any exceptions for us, so we didn't got a coffee, but it's not too bad. Anyway, we're now heading back to Rouen, where we got lunch on board. We're following the river Seine again, of course, shortening the bends of the river, and we're going past Boscherville one more time before reaching Rouen again. Of course, Rouen is also a very interesting and beautiful city, so we're going to explore the city center in a couple of minutes. Here we are seeing the city again. We're now going past a very interesting bridge. It's the Pont Gustave Flaubert, a vertical lift bridge, and it's the biggest of its kind in the world. It was opened in 2008. Here we are back at ships, and after lunch we are leaving the ship again. You can see the gangway is completely lying flat on the floor, and that's because we still have the tide here in Rouen, even though we're many kilometers into the country, but still we have the influence of the tide here in Rouen. Here you can see the most famous site of Rouen, of course the cathedral, and you can clearly see the difference to the church in Boscherville. It's much darker, but also very beautiful and interesting to see, especially as there is no entrance fee, so why not taking a look inside? But of course there's more to see in Rouen, especially a bit away from the Rue du Gros Orange, the main shopping street, the main tourist street. There are places like this where you can take some nice pictures. You see the half-timbered houses, so also those places are very beautiful. Here we can see the Rue du Gros Orange with this very famous clock Of course, also must see with good shopping opportunities. And then we found a quite interesting bar that we have seen in Belgium and in the Netherlands, but we didn't know that they are also having a store here in France. It's the Delirium Bar. Also always very nice to go there, and after a few nice beers and a game of darts, we then went to a very good restaurant called La Sixième Sens in the old town of Rouen, because once per cruise we like to eat outside in a very good restaurant, and this was our choice here in Rouen, and as you can see, the quality was amazing. It was a very nice dinner. And as we left, it was already dark outside, and as you can see, the street lights are very beautiful because they look like that they are candles with flickering lights. That was very, very beautiful. And then we continued on to Vernon, but that will be the topic of the next video. Here you can see when this video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.